One of the best backcourts in the Big East will be on display tonight as Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright lead the UConn Huskies up against the Fordham Rams next. Welcome to Big East Basketball, presented by PNC Bank. From Hartford, Connecticut, it's the Fordham Rams against the Connecticut Huskies. And welcome everybody to the XL Center. Doug Sherman along with former Boston College Eagle Malcolm Huckabee. The big question tonight, can the Fordham Rams impose their will inside against the Huskies?
It's been a struggle all year for UConn. Rebounding the basketball, Fordham's going to pose a difficult task for them tonight.
When you talk about UConn these days, you've got to start with the backcourt. And in our one-on-one, we take a look at Shabazz Napier.
This kid does it all for his team, and he's going to be added to that long list of great UConn guards, breaking down the defense, showing the pull-off jumper. This kid can get in the lane. Fordham's going to have their hands full keeping this kid under control.
Meanwhile, for Fordham, Chris Gaston just coming back from knee surgery, not 100%, but still a force.
Doug, this kid's got an amazing stat. He's led his team in scoring and rebounding. Freshman, sophomore, and junior year, UConn has got their work cut out, keeping this kid off the glass.
UConn freshman Omar Calhoun coming off his career performance the last time out. It's the Rams against the Huskies next. Tonight's Big East basketball game is brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. And back in downtown Hartford, where the UConn Huskies have a little fun before tip-off. UConn with an 8-2 record, with Big East Conference play just around the corner. In the starting lineups, a key for Fordham. Brandon Frazier at the point. He has started every game this year. Meanwhile, Chris Gaston, after missing 6 games due to arthroscopic knee surgery, back for his second game. And he'll try to impose his will inside against a UConn bunch that is dominant around the perimeter. Napier, Boatwright, Calhoun, a 3-guard look against Tom Pecora's Fordham Rams. Coach Pecora in his 3rd year as head coach at Fordham after a long run out on Long Island at Hofstra. He's a 1983 graduate of Adelphi. There's Kevin Ollie, who will turn 40 on Thursday. Los Angeles native in his first season as the head coach at UConn, but certainly not a newcomer to the Huskies program.
Not at all. I remember doing battle with this guy back in the early 90s. He was a great player, doing a great job with this UConn basketball club. Got these guys rolling 8-2. Looking forward, though, to see if they can tighten up the rebounding, which is going to be key. Fordham's got Gaston back, and that's going to be, I think, the key theme in this game. Can UConn rebound the basketball?
Let's go, Huskies, let's go, let's go.
It's the holiday weekend in New England, and the UConn Huskies look to go into the Christmas break with a win over a Fordham team that is reinforced. They beat Princeton last Saturday at the Barclays Center 63-60. That snapped their 5-game losing streak, and again, with their reinforcements inside, Ryan Canty will jump center. They potentially could pose some problems for UConn. Enish Wolf jumping center for UConn. The Huskies have the basketball first as we are underway here in Hartford. This is Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright. From the baseline, Dwayne Daniels has the first 2.
And I like what Fordham did. You'll live with that. They went to the zone early in this game, trying to limit the backcourt play of UConn. You want to keep those guys out of lane. So I think if you're Fordham, you'll live with UConn shooting jumpers.
DeAndre Daniels, a 6'8" sophomore from Los Angeles. He could be one of the real keys to the season, how he develops his inside game. Canty. One and done for Fordham. Ryan Boatwright right to the 10.
This kid is so good getting to the rim that time, showing the versatility, finishing with the left. And Fordham's going to have to do a better job in transition defense. If not, UConn's going to run them out of the building.
Jermaine Myers nearly turned it over, got it back, and then the ball kicked out of bounds by Wolf. Well, Myers along with Frazier, the only two Rams to start every game so far this season. Frazier, nice release for three.
Frazier not known as a three-point shooter, shooting 25% from three-point line. So if you're UConn, that's something you're going to have to watch. If he can knock that down, that's a good sign if you're Fordham.
Napier lost it out of bounds. It's Fordham basketball. Well, Frazier had a terrific close to last weekend's game against Princeton. 17 of his 19 points came in the second half. And so #1 in maroon gets off to a quick start here tonight. There he is trying to post up the smaller UConn guard.
Yeah, and that's going to be a problem for UConn. They do have a small backcourt. And back to Frazier, when Gaston was out, he basically put the team on his back. So he's going to have a little bit of relief today with Gaston back in the lineup for Fordham.
Frazier averages over 15 per game. Nice wraparound pass. Gaston is fouled by Wolf. Well, there's a second chance for Fordham off of the miss. The Rams are going to be crashing the offensive glass. It's UConn's job to keep them off.
First personal foul.
We can't talk about it enough. The rebounding, how important it is for UConn. Speaking with Coach Kevin Ollie during shoot-around today, he feels his backcourt can play with anybody. And it's no secret that UConn struggles rebounding the basketball. So that's going to be an area he was concerned about it coming into this basketball game, whether or not they were going to be able to match up with the bigs of Fordham.
Chris Gaston gets the second. First point for the senior from Union City, New Jersey. Little pull up by Ryan Boatwright.
I know we're not supposed to make comparisons, but he looked a little bit like Kemba Walker on that pull-up jump shot right there. These two guys are so quick. Doug, I'm so happy I'm sitting here calling this game with you, and I don't have to defend that.
Deflection turns to a steal for Napier. Quickly the other way, Daniels. And he throws it down.
What a beautiful pass that time by Napier. In stride, and I think that's the area of his game that is underlooked. This kid is a great passer, finding guys, setting them up. He does a great job hitting guys in stride for easy buckets.
8-4 Huskies over the Rams. Fordham will keep possession.
And so often, Doug, here you see the hands, and so often guys would hold it too long. That time he hit him right in stride for the easy deuce.
Two-man game for Fordham. Gaston over his left shoulder for two.
Amazing stat for Gaston. This kid has 52 career double-doubles. I don't think I had a double-double in my whole playing career. That's an amazing stat. Only 84 games, 52 double-doubles.
He's preseason first-team All-Atlantic 10 Conference. And as you mentioned, Malcolm, he has led this Fordham team in each of his 3 years at Rose Hill in both points and rebounds. Not only that, he has led the Atlantic 10 3 times in rebounding. The only other guy to do that and then some was David West at Xavier, who was the National Player of the Year. So Gaston has a chance to match David West. Pull up by Frazier. 4 minutes in, UConn with the basketball and a 2-point lead. Leak out for Frazier. Allows the defender to go by, and he lays it in.
Fordham's doing a great job right now, Doug, forcing UConn into contested threes. And that's what you want. You want to keep Napier and also Boatwright out of the lane. Let them continue to shoot from the perimeter, rebound, and you're going to be able to get out and get some easy transition buckets.
Boatwright for 3. Well, this UConn team coming off a tremendous offensive performance on Monday where they shot 66%. And from beyond the arc, they were even better, 10 out of 19. Pull up for two. Frazier left it short, and here come the Huskies running again. Boatwright crosses over and lays it in.
I'm amazed at how quick this kid was. One thing to see it on TV and you see it up close. This kid is a jet getting up the court, and he's got a nice little touch with the left hand. That's two now that he's finished at the rim with the left hand.
9 points for Boatwright, who's got the basketball now. Calhoun's first shot of the night. Brian Smith hits the three.
Smith is a guy for Fordham that gives him that third option. Came into this game just under 10 points, and he's going to be another guy that Fordham's going to need to knock down shots like that. And I like what they're doing on the defensive end. You're going to have to give up something with this backcourt of UConn. You might as well give them contested jumpers.
Wolf sets the screen for Boatwright, who misfires. Foul underneath. And it takes us to our first break. Quick start for Ryan Boatwright, the sophomore from Aurora, Illinois. 9 points and a 2-point UConn lead.
This kid is so impressive. Reminds me a lot of Kemba Walker with the change of direction. Fordham really no answer for this right here. He's just crossing over, showing off the jump shot. And if he can knock down the jumper on a consistent basis, he's unguardable. Fordham doing a great job, though, going to the zone. They know they cannot guard these guys one-on-one. And you look at what Boatwright has done. This kid has been impressive, shooting a high percentage from the floor, Doug.
Well, that included 5 of 6 from beyond the arc in Monday's win over Maryland Eastern Shore, and he's picked right up where he left off. Off the inbound pass, Brandon Frazier for 2 easy points. He's got 7. Niels Giffey has come into the game for UConn, number 5 in white. Tyler Olander down in the post as well. This is Olander spotting up. Fordham with a chance to take the lead. Frazier nearly lost it twice, got it to Smith, and he shoots an air ball. Connecticut basketball.
UConn caught a break right there. Gaston almost came up with another offensive rebound. On the offensive end, I would like to see Fordham slow it down and get Gaston some touches in the block. This guy's shooting a high percentage from the floor. I think they're settling for contested threes early. On the defensive end, though, Fordham, I have no fault with them whatsoever. Back into the matchup zone, forcing UConn to be a perimeter shooting team.
Saw Ryan Boatwright out of the game in some discomfort on the UConn bench. Olander now 0 for 2. Napier tried to save it but couldn't. There you see Boatwright. Looks like he's going to head back into the locker room to receive some treatment.
Wow, that would be a big blow for UConn if he's not able to go in this basketball game.
So R.J. Evans has come into the game. He's a grad student who's missed 2 of the last 3 games with a shoulder injury. And this is Evans, the former Holy Cross Crusader, leading the break. Blocking foul will send the Huskies to the free throw line.
That's a great call by the ref right there. So much emphasis on that block charge rule. That time, Calhoun clearly was in the air. Fordham player moved up underneath him. That's a dangerous play right there. But Calhoun is going to be a guy that's going to need to step up on both ends of the court. Averaging 10 points right now. And that's going to be a huge blow if Boatwright cannot go. So I believe it's going to have to be Calhoun that's going to have to pick up the scoring.
Good to see Boatwright walking with a little bit less of a limp as he comes back from the locker room. Travion Leonard, a freshman from Raleigh, North Carolina, has checked into the game for the Rams. Mandel Thomas also in for the Rams. This is Thomas with the basketball. To shoot. Myers now with 5 to shoot, still with the dribble right to the bucket. Tied again, 15 apiece. Catch and release, and that is a pure jump shot by Omar Calhoun.
That's the area of his game that has improved. Speaking with Coach Kevin Ollie, assistant coach Carl Hobbs, he needs to continue to be more consistent on that end of the floor.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the best backcourts in the Big East, including one backcourt we're getting a chance to see here tonight. The Big East Conference is blessed with a number of terrific backcourts this year. Starting with Syracuse, he leads the nation. Michael Carter-Williams in assists per game.
So impressive what Jim Boeheim has done up there. I really like this backcourt. Brandon Triss is another guy. Got a chance to see him last year in the NCAA tournament.
Meanwhile, Peyton Siva, Russ Smith, terrific duo for Louisville.
And I think this is the one where everybody coming into the season, they had their eyes on this backcourt right here. Silva is a terrific player, showing off the hops right there.
And you can't talk about backcourts without talking about the two guys we are seeing here tonight in Hartford.
Well, what they did against Michigan State, I watched that basketball game. They got out-rebounded by -14, and all Napier did was put this team on his back. They are a special backcourt.
And when you add the freshman Omar Calhoun with a 3-guard look, they really can be dynamic. Out of those 3 groups, Malcolm Huckabee, which do you like the best?
Well, I'm not saying that because I'm sitting here in the XL Center, but I got to go with UConn's backcourt. I go back to that Michigan State game. They had no presence on the interior, but their guards and their backcourt play really won that basketball game for them.
Niels Gaffey with a turnaround jumper for the Huskies. UConn's lead is 5. Myers guarded by Calhoun. 9 minutes in. Frazier lost it. Ryan Boatwright back in the ball game. Looks like he's all right. And again, he goes flying into the seats. Well, there are the numbers for the guard combos, the best in the Big East. And look at Carter-Williams and Trish. Carter-Williams with the more than 10 assists per game. That's an unbelievable stat.
Really doing a great job being unselfish with the basketball. You look at Siva and Smith for Louisville. This is unbelievable, the numbers that these guys are putting up. And right now, Doug, I think they're going to the monitor, the referees, to see if there was contact above the head. Okay, excuse me, they're just going to give him 2 shots. But that was a hard foul that time.
2 free throws
by Fordham, and Boatwright's going to get a chance at 2 here.
Boatwright into double figures as we take another look.
Yeah, that definitely was, I didn't see much of him going for the basketball there. That was more of a body check. I remember getting plenty of those in my heyday back in the Big East when they went to 6 fouls. It was so physical.
Well, Travion Leonard tips the scales at 275. Ryan Boatwright is a $160. So you can see why he would go flying in that matchup.
Yeah, I don't think there's a flop on that one.
Frazier lost it again. Here come the Huskies 3-on-1. Shabazz Napier, and he'll get a chance for 3.
These guys are so good in the open court. You're going to see Shabazz Napier here showing the quickness. Both these guys are so quick, and I like their ability to take the hit and finish at the rim.
Philip Nolan has come into the game, replacing Olander. as Napier, after having scored his first points of the night, at the free throw line. Brian Smith back in for Fordham. Frazier will take a seat. The Huskies on a 10-0 run to open up this 24-15 lead. Boatwright picks the pocket. And again, he draws the contact and will head back to the free throw line.
Doug, the majority of UConn's offense has come off with steals. Fordham doing a poor job handling the basketball and giving UConn way too many easy transition looks. Boatwright getting his hand on the ball right here, and another hard foul by Fordham.
Kevin Ollie talks about this being one of the ways you can overcome your rebounding deficit. They've been out-rebounded in 9 of their 10 games this season, and by coming up with steals like we've seen so far here tonight helps to offset that somewhat.
I still marvel at the number in that Michigan State game. They were a -14 in the rebounding department, and they wound up winning that basketball game. That's unheard of. Typically, if you're getting out-rebounded by a -14, and I think they gave up 15 second chance points to 1 for UConn, and they win that basketball game, that tells me that your backcourt is very good.
Yep, you've got to make up those possessions and make up those points in other ways. Ryan Rooms. Into the corner. Daniels misfires, and a rebounding foul against Fordham.
Fordham foul, number 33, Chris Gaston.
It's on Chris Gaston, 6'7" senior from Union City, New Jersey. 15 foul against the Rams, non-shooting foul, and so R.J. Evans inbounds. Daniels spotting up. Rebound Rooms. Catch and shoot by Brian Smith, left it short, and it'll go back over to Connecticut.
UConn doing a great job getting hands up on jump shooters and then rebounding. They've done a good job in these last couple possessions, limiting Fordham to 1 possession. And that's what Coach Kevin Ollie wants to see from his UConn basketball club.
Good ball movement to find Evans in the corner. Timeout Rams.
They're so unselfish with the basketball, Doug. That time, Boatwright passed up a jumper, and I think that's what's so special about this team. You know they can score, and I really like how UConn is balanced. Typically, you don't have that 4 guys in double figures. You look at what Kentucky did last year. They had 5 guys in double digits. UConn doing a great job sharing the basketball.
And we just saw the 3-point shot by R.J. Evans. That's his first made 3-pointer. As a UConn Husky, keep in mind he was a 1,200-point scorer in his 3 years of eligibility at Holy Cross before transferring to UConn for his postgraduate season of eligibility.
He brings a lot of maturity to this basketball club, a calming presence, and they're going to need him as they get into conference play.
Along with Malcolm Huckabee, this is Doug Sherman. We are at the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut. for the UConn Huskies and Fordham Rams, and again in transition Fordham commits the foul.
Doug, it's bringing back flashback memories of when I had to chase Kevin Ollie up the court. I was going to say there's no way that anybody is faster than him up the court, but seeing these two guys right here, I want to take that statement back. These two guys, Napier and Boatwright, they fly up the court.
And they have combined to force 7 Fordham turnovers. UConn, meanwhile, taking care of the basketball with only 1 turnover. And again, that's another one of those statistics Kevin Ollie talks about. We've got to be better than our opponent because quite often we're going to give up more rebounds. Shot clock at 8. Boatwright had his pocket picked. Thomas, coast to coast.
Thomas doing a great job, not going for the crossover, stood still, came up with a clean pick and a much needed bucket for Fordham to stop this UConn run.
First 2 points for the freshman out of Rush Henrietta High School in Rochester, New York. Here's Evans. Nolan has to bring it back out front to Daniels. Nice job on the ball fake to free himself. Misses on the putback. Gaston still looking for his first field goal, and another UConn takeaway. Boatwright back to Evans.
Another fast break, really uncontested layup. These guards, I've been really impressed with their quickness. They got their hands on about every pass that Fordham has made. They got their hand in the passing lane. They're creating a lot of difficulty for Fordham to run their offense.
UConn foul on number 12, R.J. Evans.
Kevin Ollie's team has been running and gunning. One fast break layup after another, and his Huskies lead by 14. Basketball Hall of Famer Jim Calhoun, the longtime head coach of the UConn Huskies, sitting courtside for tonight's game. And let's take you inside the play, talking about that UConn rebounding, Malcolm.
Coach Kevin Ollie wants his guys, as soon as the ball goes up, turn, hit, find the body. That's the effort plays that was lacking early in the season. This is a great job right here. As soon as the ball goes up, they tell you, turn, find a guy, put a body on him. If you turn and look at the ball and not put a body on the guy that's trying to get the offensive rebound, you have no shot whatsoever of getting a defensive rebound. Speaking with Coach Ollie before the game, that's what he's got his guys focused on. Put the body on a body, so that way you don't have any separation or any movement whatsoever by the offensive player to get around you.
This is a team that lost Andre Drummond to the NBA, lost Alex Oriaki to transfer to Missouri, and they were left without an inside presence that we have just become accustomed to over the years at UConn.
Yeah, and they really struggled. Everybody knows about the rebounding woes for UConn, but they've masked it with this backcourt play. But Coach Ollie knows that once they get into conference play, they're not going to be able to get away with getting out-rebounded by double digits.
First personal foul, 4th team.
UConn is in the midst of a 16-2 run. They were tied 15 apiece. But UConn has been forcing turnovers and turning those into points. There's the first 2 points for Chris Gaston.
And that's the guy they need to get involved. If you're Fordham, he needs to touch the basketball every offensive possession, get him some touches, play off of him. I felt early in that first half, they've been settling for jumpers. Gaston's got to be the guy. He's got to get some touches.
Now Ryan Canty is another guy we barely called his name, a 6'9" sophomore from Danvers, Mass. Over the last 5 games for Fordham, averaging a double-double. He's barely touched the basketball. Shabazz Napier.
Doug, he is virtually unguardable. If he can knock that shot down on a consistent basis, there is no defense for that whatsoever.
Thomas lost it, got it stripped away once again. Those UConn guards wreaking havoc. Boatwright for 3. Fordham running back the other way, right to the bucket. Brandon Frazier. Jeff Short is in the game for Fordham for the first time tonight. 6'4" redshirt freshman from the Bronx. Napier, Calhoun, Boatwright around the perimeter for Connecticut. Nolan sets the screen. Giffey also on the floor. From the corner, Omar Calhoun.
UConn doing a good job being patient against the zone. They know Fordham does not have anybody that can guard their perimeter players, and they're not settling for quick shots that time. Another good look for Calhoun, and he's knocked it down.
Gaston with back-to-back field goals. He's got 7. Little floater. Boatwright now with 14 points.
They make it look so easy, breaking down the defense. I'm not sure what you do to defend that right there. They're so quick, they break you down, and then on the defensive end, they're going to come up with another steal right here, and they're making this look easy, Doug.
Another steal for Boatwright, and a chance for 3 for Calhoun.
The thing that's so impressive about this backcourt, their willingness to pass. You look at Napier, what he's done in the first half of basketball games, really sets the tone on the offensive end, getting other guys involved. And I think that's really something that you have to marvel with this backcourt, where they know they can score, but they're willing and able to be unselfish with the basketball and set other guys up.
Boatwright already has 14 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals here tonight. Leonard just clearing space inside, but he can't convert. Olander, nice look inside. Kick it outside to Napier. And he gets the shooter's roll.
Well, Fordham took their gamble, went to the zone. I think now they're starting to knock down jumpers. They're going to have to come out of that zone.
And another UConn strip. 11 Fordham turnovers so far, and Ryan Boatwright is making them pay. All Huskies so far here in Hartford. Doug Sherman, Malcolm Huckabee back in the state capital of Connecticut here in downtown Hartford, where it's been all Huskies, and Fordham needs its key players, Brandon Frazier and Chris Gaston, to continue to pick up their play.
Well, the problem right now that Fordham is having is they can't get the ball past half court. They've just been giving up careless turnovers to UConn, and they're converting on the other end. And when Gaston has had his opportunities, Doug, he's made some nice moves, but they are getting him the basketball. So if I'm Fordham, I'm telling every player on that court, do not shoot the ball until Gaston touches it.
Leon Tolksdorf in the game now for Connecticut. Here's Boatwright off the pass from Napier. Now Boatwright went for 21 points on Monday. He's already up to 17 here tonight. Short block, and again a leak out. Here comes Boatwright.
What doesn't this kid do in a basketball game? Knocking down the jumper, showing off the hops that time, and he got up high on that one right there, Doug. This backcourt for UConn is impressive.
He is a little dynamo. 19 points. He had one of these on Monday and has one here tonight. Well, he's only 4 away from his career high, Malcolm, which was 23 points scored in the game last year. He's already got his career high in assists with 7. So the sky's the limit here tonight for the sophomore from Aurora, Illinois.
Doug, the thing that is so impressive about both of these guys, they shoot a high percentage from the floor. Napier shooting over 45% from the floor, and Boatwright the same. So they take high percentage shots. They're under control, and they are 2 of the quickest guards I've seen in person this year.
Whistle and a foul off the ball. Rooms and Tolksdorf were banging in the paint, and it goes against Connecticut. 15 foul on the Huskies, the first on the freshman from Berlin, Germany. Foul against Fordham before the inbound. Smith the guilty party.
And that's just really, that drives coaches crazy. That's not tough. That right now you're trailing 49-23, 2:15 to go. That's not how you're going to get back into this basketball game, by picking up a foul when really you're not even involved in the play.
Boatwright. About the only thing that hasn't gone his way so far tonight. Napier, another near steal, and again Fordham sloppy in the backcourt. There the reach-in foul call, but Napier and Boatwright are all over the Rams.
Doug, what they're going to have to do is get the ball out of both guards' hands for Fordham, and you may have to have a big bring the ball up the court, because right now UConn is having their way on the defensive end with the backcourt of Fordham.
Smith draws some groans from the crowd here at the XL Center as he hit the side of the backboard. Omar Calhoun.
And he's showing some deep range right there. That's an NBA 3. And really not much resistance whatsoever by Fordham.
13 points now for Calhoun. Puts it on the floor, kicks to the corner. Gaston fouled by Olander. Coming up at halftime, we'll have a UConn guard comparison. We'll also have our Big East news and notes and highlights and statistics. We're talking about one of the great guards of recent history for the UConn Huskies, and are there similarities, are there differences between him and our current crop of UConn guards?
Going back to what Kevin Ollie said at shoot-around today, he said, look, Shabazz is Shabazz. And everybody wants to throw the comparison out there, and that's what we do. We like doing that. I love making the comparisons. This guy reminds me of him. But I really like the unselfish play of Napier, and I think that's what separates him from Kemba Walker, where he's more of a true point guard. You look at what he's done in the first half of basketball games. You're going to look at Coach Calhoun right here, Hall of Fame coach, one of the class acts in basketball, and you're going to get a look at Napier getting a blow. But I think that's what really separates him from the other guards that are out there, where he's really a true point guard. And you don't see that often in college basketball. You have a guy that can score, but he really doesn't pass the ball. And then you have a guy that really is a pass-first point guard, and he doesn't really score the ball that well. So I think Napier's got the world. He knows how to take over a basketball game, and the future obviously is bright for this kid.
He is one of only 3 players remaining from Jim Calhoun's 3rd national championship team from 2 years ago. Napier was a freshman reserve and played a key role on that club, and last year stepped into a primary role, and even more so here this year as a junior. The big putback by Olander. That is what UConn needs out of that young man.
Coach Ali said, look, just go get me a board. I don't want you to worry about your offense. I want you to rebound the basketball for me.
Another UConn steal. Tough pass. Evans able to convert.
They are putting on a defensive clinic, and then in the transition game, they are very fast at getting the ball up the court, not wasting a lot of time dribbling, This is beautiful basketball right here by UConn.
Terribly efficient, Malcolm. Only 2 turnovers committed by UConn. They've got 15 assists on 20 made field goals. The 3 by Frazier.
Timeout, Huskies.
UConn calls timeout.
And this has been the story of the basketball game. Fordham's inability to take care of the basketball, and UConn is putting on a fast break clinic, finishing. They're getting easy transition buckets after easy transition buckets. Fordham has got their work cut out for them if they have any chance whatsoever of getting back into this basketball game.
Now, Malcolm, one thing we've heard about UConn is they're going to need a 3rd scorer, and having R.J. Evans healthy once again and back in the lineup, he has brought 7 points off the bench. Omar Calhoun could be that 3rd scorer. He's got 13 already. Daniels is the other guy they point to. He's only got 4 tonight, but you need one of those guys at least on any given night to step up their game.
Well, I think they're going to be okay on the offensive end. I think they got enough guys. Obviously, this backcourt has enough firepower, has enough scoring power to get it done on the offensive end. I think the area, as you see the missed 3 right here, I think the area where they're going to actually struggle when they get into conference play is on the rebounding.
This ball game was tied at 15 apiece, and from that point forward, it has been all Connecticut. We'll be back to Hartford with our halftime report, with the Huskies on top 57-28 over Fordham right after this.
It is the State Farm Halftime Show. Gary Apple in Shadow, New York studios, sitting alongside the former St. John standout, Tariq Turner. We thought this might be a pretty good game tonight, but so far, not the case. And Ryan Boatwright, one of the big reasons why that was one of the better first halves we've seen in a long time out of Boatwright.
He came out really aggressive from the jump. 9 first-half points early on in the first few minutes, creating a lot of mismatches with his penetration. His speed really gives him an advantage because he thrives in transition, gets to the rim, finishes with the left. Great one-on-one player, great crossover, pull-up jumper. He likes when defenders play up on him because he uses his speed. He had his whole game going tonight.
Shot 7 of 11 in that opening half as a team. Connecticut shot 58% as he can rise up and send it down. Got the crowd fired up at the XL Center. And then there's the freshman, Omar Calhoun, coming off a 22-point game. He's in double figures already.
Well, you can tell he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's playing within himself, not forcing any shots. He's getting good looks. He's finishing in transition. And when he gets those kind of minutes, 25, 30 minutes, he knows he has to put up numbers. He's doing that the last couple games.
Well, Connecticut scored 21 points in that first half off turnovers. They got out and they ran, and man, did Fordham turn the ball over 13 times in that first half. Very sloppy with the basketball.
Well, you have to credit first UConn. They pressured the basketball and really got out to the loose balls and got in the passing lanes. And when they can get out and run, a lot of it comes from their defensive transition game, which ignites their fast break. They got out, they were quicker to the ball. Napier and Boatwright especially really thrived in transition.
Well, all Connecticut in that first half as they again shot 58% from the floor and 50% from beyond the arc. They were 8 of 16 from beyond the arc. R.J. Evans getting into the act as well, the young man who is a graduate student, played at Holy Cross. As we get a look, Fordham didn't shoot the ball all that badly. I mean, their numbers, when you look at them, are not all that bad. They out-rebounded Connecticut in the first half, but those turnovers, they stick out at you, and that's the big difference. As, again, Connecticut ran up and down the floor, and they lead 57-28 at the break. Do not adjust your television sets. When we come back here on the State Farm Halftime Show, going to check in around the conference. That's your alma mater in action tonight. St. John's going up against
Arena.
Yes, UNC Asheville, and then Notre Dame playing as well. We'll check in on both in just a moment. We talked about Omar Calhoun, but what about Shabazz Napier? Relatively quiet in the first half when it comes to Boatwright, but he did have 9 points, and he continues to be a leader for Kevin Ollie.
He does. And you know what I like is he's balancing his game out. He's not just trying to be a scorer. He's not dominating the ball. He's making the extra pass. He had 5 assists in the first half, and he also had 9 points. So he's playing within himself. He's making sure he keeps everyone involved. He's engaged, and the leadership is starting to come out. I think Kevin Ollie trusts him to be that floor leader and that coach, that general that he needs to be for this young team. And he's the only guy with that experience to lead the way Boatwright as well, being a sophomore. But Napier is that guy that can play the 1 and the 2. He's probably going to play more off the ball now that Boatwright is starting to come into his own as a playmaker. But that's starting to work well at the right time as they get ready for Big East Conference play.
Top scorers, Boatwright leads everybody with those 20 points. And for Fordham, Brandon Frazier in double figures. He's got a dozen. He's the only Fordham player in double figures in that first half. Leading scorers brought to you by our friends at Suzuki. So what must Fordham do? Do they have any shot at getting back into this game in the second half?
They don't have any shot if they keep turning the ball over. They had 13, 14 turnovers in the first half. That's 14 empty possessions. You can't win a game on the road versus UConn, turn the ball over like that. They actually shot the ball well. They shot 45% from the field, which is pretty good, but they just turned the ball over too much. To compound it, those turnovers led to easy baskets on the other end for UConn, so they have to take care of the basketball. They also have to get Gaston more involved. He didn't get enough touches. He's their best player in the paint.
About 20 seconds or so, you spent many of nights and days inside the locker room at halftime when your team had a big lead. So what does the coach say when you're up by 29 points?
You can't take your foot off the gas. This UConn team is vulnerable because they have not been consistent. They have not played an entire 40-minute game well yet. And this is just going by 20-minute first half. This is the best half I've seen them play all year, including the Michigan State win, although that was a much tougher opponent. They have to continue to do what they did in the first half: share the ball, make the extra pass, force turnovers, and continue to attack the basket.
Connecticut looking to go to 9-2 on the season. They continue to ride the hot shooting of Ryan Boatwright. He leads everybody. He's got those 20 points on 7 of 11 shooting. The little guy can rise up.
Like you.
Pretty much so. Enjoy the second half. We'll see you on the post-game show.
Just about set for the start of the second half, where UConn is in complete control over Fordham, 57-28. And if you're the Rams here, Malcolm, what do they have to do to get back into this ball game?
Well, I really think, and it might be a crazy suggestion, but have Chris Gaston bring the basketball up the court, because right now your guards cannot get the ball across half court without having a turnover. So right now, and Gaston's got a good enough handle where he can get the ball up the court. Sometimes that will relieve some of the pressure that the Fordham guards are having right now. So I think that's one of the suggestions. And then when they do get into their half court sets, Doug, they need to get Gaston some touches.
I think we have a clock issue. The officials noticed that the shot clock was not running. Now they've got it synced up. 10 seconds into the second half. Brendan Frazier, the junior out of Bishop Loughlin High School, right to the basket, and he's fouled by Boatwright. Now Frazier, a 6'3" junior, he leads Fordham with 12 points. And over the past 8 games before tonight, he was averaging nearly 17 per. He really stepped up in the absence of Chris Gaston, who was out for 6 games with the knee surgery. Frazier has looked to be an efficient and effective scorer here tonight, but he has been as guilty as anybody in terms of the turnovers.
And I think that's part of not playing with Gaston for those last 6 games. He was so used to having to go and be the main guy on the offensive end. With Gaston back right now, he needs to settle down, get into the offense, and get Gaston, your guy that's been averaging a double-double. The guy's a double-double machine. He's not getting any good looks at all underneath the basket.
Ryan Boatwright with the basketball. Up and over. Thomas off the glass for 2. That's a new season high for Boatwright with 22.
And it wasn't a great shot, but sometimes when you have it going on the offensive end, you hit a contested floater dead on from glass. I think he's got to call glass on that one next time, though.
Thomas, a little strong. Ball still loose, and it comes to Smith. And finally, 2 points for Ryan Canty, the sophomore from Danvers, Mass. averaging a double-double over his last 5 games. Takes him to the 19-minute mark of the second half to get his first points.
Doug, that's why it's so important to have good backcourt play. I don't care what level you're at, college or at the pro level, you have to have guards that can control the tempo of the game and get you into your offensive sets.
Open look from the corner. Smith can't find the range. And on the leak out, it's Napier. Just a total breakdown defensively for Fordham with nobody back. It was a 3-on-none. Frazier with a giveaway again, and here come the Huskies 3-on-2. Little showtime for Boatwright, who now has a career high in assists.
Too easy, Doug. They're putting on a clinic, and if I'm Fordham right now, I am very upset with my team because you have now 2 possessions, Doug, where 3 guys don't make it across half court off of a turnover. You can deal with playing bad, but you cannot deal with guys giving effort. And right now, Fordham not giving effort whatsoever.
And because of that, Tom Cora calls a timeout. UConn starts the second half like the first half was going as well. UConn's lead is 32 points early second half here in Hartford, and Ryan Boatwright has been the story. He's one off his career high with those 22 points.
And you look at how efficient he is on the offensive end, 8 of 12, and they've been all good looks. So impressive, the quickness, the defense. This backcourt is impressive.
His 8 assists, as you see, a new single-game career high for the young man who this past summer at his high school alma mater, East Aurora High in Illinois, they hung a banner in the rafters in his honor. He's only been out of high school now just over a year at the time they put his name up in the rafters. That's how much they think about Ryan Boatwright.
We got a jump ball situation right here, but I'm from Bristol, Connecticut, and I won a state championship my senior year, and I don't have any banners whatsoever. I got a little plaque in the little showcase. So who do I need to talk to about that, getting a banner up and get that kind of recognition?
If you're going to talk about it, I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, come on, man. Work with me.
There's the young man, Boatwright. Niels Giffey into the ball game for the Huskies with the basketball. And Tyler Olander. Napier from just inside the three-point line.
Doug, that was one of the few bad possessions on offense for UConn. And obviously in the situation right here, they have such a big lead. You're going to have letdowns like that. But overall, UConn has done a great job sharing the basketball.
Terrific move by Jermaine Myers, the freshman from Ajax, Ontario. We just haven't seen UConn in the half-court offense all that much so far here tonight, Malcolm.
No, it's been way too easy on the offensive end. And I think probably with about the 10-minute mark, Doug, I think Coach Kevin Ollie is going to probably think about getting his guys out of the basketball game. The last thing you need is Napier or Boatwright getting injured in this basketball game that really, I think, is pretty much in UConn's favor right now. So I think we're going to be watching that. And I think it's just a matter of what time does he think he needs to pull his guys out of the game so they don't get hurt.
Travion Leonard back in for Fordham. Connecticut will keep it. Well, during your days at Boston College, you must have been involved in a number of games like this early season where you're up by 20, up by 30. How do you keep your focus? Traveling violation. The Huskies give it back to the Rams. How do you make sure that you keep running your offense the right way?
Well, that's what the coach does. I remember plenty of times he made it pretty clear to guys, look, I don't want you going for yours when the game's out of hand. I want you to stay within the offense, continue to play hard on defense. So really in that situation, it's up to the coach to keep his guys under control. Kevin Ollie learned from one of the best, Coach Jim Calhoun. I don't think those guys are going to get away from what they've been doing.
Myers hits the three. Napier steps back. Was strong on the three. Nice putback by Ryan Canty.
And Fordham's got some bigs that can do some damage in the block. I think the problem in this game has been their inability to get them any touches whatsoever. And it's been UConn doing a great job on perimeter defense, keeping them away from the basket.
When we come back, a little tail of the tape. Kevin Ollie versus Malcolm Huckabee. You might be surprised by some of the numbers. Back here in Hartford, Doug Sherman along with Malcolm Huckabee. And after UConn shoot-around this afternoon, I asked Coach Ollie, hey, let's turn back the clock 20 years. When you matched up against Boston College back in the day in the early 90s, you can tell me you took it to Malcolm Huckabee. And he said, no, not really. Malcolm was the man, and look at the numbers. You stacked right up with Kevin Ollie.
Well, I have those numbers are a little deceptive because he played with guys like Ray Allen, Donyell Marshall. So I think he had a lot more guys to dish off to, but I do remember doing battle with Kevin Ollie. Really a class act. I'm so happy for him. He was always a tough competitor. Never really talked a lot on the court, and he was a jet up the court. I hated chasing this guy around.
That's a 13-year NBA veteran who we just put your numbers up against his, and you outdid him. That's pretty good.
Oh, so now you're starting to give me some love. See, it took you, look, 15 minutes to go in the second half, and now I'm getting some love from you.
I had to see the numbers. Had to see the numbers. Now Coach Ollie's UConn Huskies have been in command since early on in the ball game. Fordham gets the bounce. The Rams had the ball game tied 15 apiece, and then the UConn pressure defense just didn't allow Fordham time and again to get itself into its half-court set. Omar Calhoun left it short. Little stick back for Ryan Canty. And Coach Ollie is not pleased.
And that's what I'm talking about, Doug. It's up to the coach. Kevin Ollie not happy with his team. And I'm sure he's been at the other end of that from Coach Calhoun, where you got a big lead. The last thing you want to do is have any lapses on the defensive end and give Fordham any chance whatsoever to get back into this basketball game.
Well, for the UConn Huskies, only one more non-conference game before getting into the teeth of Big East play, and that'll be against the Washington Huskies on December 29th, the game you can see on ESPN2, and that will be against one of the big boys in terms of power conferences. They'll be playing, you know, a team with some bigs inside for Washington. Now, the Huskies in the Pac-12 are not world beaters, but it'll be a real good test for this team getting ready for Big East play. Yeah, and that's one of the areas concerned talking to him before the game, how they're going to play and rebound the basketball when they get into conference play. You know what their backcourt is going to do, Doug. Their backcourt can play with anybody. You saw that against Michigan State, where they're able to score in bunches and win against a team that really had their way with them on the defensive and offensive boards. But you can only get away with that so often. They're going to have to do a better job rebounding the basketball as they get deep into conference play. That foul was on Jermaine Myers, his fourth, and so he takes a seat on the Fordham bench. Shabazz Napier. Frazier, no look pass. Nice looking break. Travion Leonard with a layup. Frazier now showing some signs of what we expected coming into this basketball game. That's a nice no-look pass that time. Fordham still playing hard, and that's a good sign, though, if you're Fordham. They're continuing to play through this. You just don't want guys giving up when you're down this big. Frazier was a guy, as you talked about, Doug, picked up the scoring slack when Gaston was out with an injury for 6 games. That's a nice look, but really throughout the course of this game, he has not had any room whatsoever to maneuver as he did on that last play. Fordham basketball. Frazier originally committed to Hofstra University back when Coach Pecora was the head coach of the Pride. And then when Pecora got hired 3 years ago at Fordham, Frazier came with him. Yeah, and you see that so often now. Guys
that get recruited, they go there not just for the school, but they also go there because they really feel comfortable with the coach, speaking with them before, and that's really all it was about. He felt really comfortable with Coach Pecora and his staff.
There is Frazier burying the three. He's a 3-year starter for Fordham, and he is the Rams' leading scorer so far here tonight. Nolan faces up, finds Evans, and that's an air ball. 7 minutes into the second half. UConn with the comfortable lead. Frazier dumps it off, and there's the layup. Gaston into double figures now.
I really believe that Nolan is going to be a guy that's going to have to give them more production when he gets minutes.
That's 19 straight points for Fordham, which gets the crowd here at the XL Center to make some noise, and UConn continues to struggle at this end. Gaston lost it. He went down, and here comes UConn. Evans right to the rim, and that snaps the 19-0 run.
Evans reminds me of a guy that played back in the Big East days by the name of John Bagley, a Connecticut native, but he's got that type of build where you don't think a guy that big is going to be that quick, but he is a lot quicker than you would expect him to be, and that time he showed the agility to get up and finish at the hole.
UConn off the turnover. Count the basket and one. That's a new career high for Ryan Boatwright. Will step away from the XL Center in Hartford. Boatwright and the Huskies on top by 17. A 32-point lead has been cut to 17 by Fordham. 11:49 remaining in regulation. And let's take a look at our Big East leaders, brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you. And not surprising that 3 of the top 5 are Providence Friars, but right in the middle there is Shabazz Napier.
He's a guy that needs to be out on the court for Kevin Ollie and UConn. And Doug, I remember going back to this. You never want to come out of the game as a player. I never wanted to come out. I didn't care what level. Even if I was tired, I was never raising my hand to come out of a basketball game. But in particular in this situation for UConn, with their lack of rebounding, they need both Napier and also Boatwright out on the court at all times.
Ryan Rooms with the rebound, sophomore from Jamaica, Queens. He actually played some of his high school ball upstate in Middletown, New York. Frazier misses the mark. Olander does a nice job to box out the Fordham Ram, who's called for the foul, Travion Leonard.
Olander did a great job that time boxing out. Kevin Ollie wants him to do more of that. Don't stand and watch the ball. Go find the body, put it on him, and go grab the rebound. Doing an excellent job that time boxing out.
Olander started the first 8 games of the year for UConn. He's come off the bench now the last 3, including this one here tonight. Little leaner. Won't go for Calhoun, and then the reach-in foul. Well, the first half had all sorts of flow, and Connecticut was turning Fordham over. This second half, much different pace.
Yeah, and I think a part of that is UConn had such a big lead. They fell asleep, let Fordham try to get back into this basketball game. Right now, 11:08, they're up 17. And I like the move by Kevin Ollie going to the half-court trap.
Frazier kicks to the corner, and it rims out on Smith. Travion Leonard misses. There's Frazier to clean it up.
That's the consistency that we've been talking about on the defensive glass. One time they have a good possession, the next time down they come up and give up the offensive rebound.
That's the second time tonight we've seen Travion Leonard at 275 pounds just riding Ryan Boatwright, who's only 160, and he gets called for the foul.
And he's doing a great job right here on the offensive glass. He looks more like a defensive lineman. I mean, he is a big...
Frazier with the steal. He's now got 20. The lead is down to 13, and again the UConn faithful here in Hartford getting a little more restless.
Frazier doing a great job. Came into this game averaging 17 points in the last 8 games for Fordham. He's picked it up here in the second half.
And another deflected pass as Fordham's defense asserts itself a little bit better. Olander able to get the layup to go. Had the ball go through his hands. Fordham never lost possession though, so the shot clock winds down to 10. And another foul called against Travion Leonard. We are at the XL Center here in Hartford, Connecticut. UConn Huskies taking on the Fordham Rams, along with Boston College Athletics Hall of Famer Malcolm Huckabee. I'm Doug Sherman. So you were talking earlier this half, well, you're looking for some love from the high school alma mater, but certainly the college alma mater has given you the proper respect.
Well, I see you're warming up. I'm giving you a lot of credit now. You were sleeping in the first half. Now you're warming up to me a little bit here. I'm waiting to see what you got in store later on.
All right. DeAndre Daniels nails the jump shot. Been a fairly quiet evening for the sophomore out of Taft High School in Los Angeles. Thomas. Napier battles for it. And it's Connecticut basketball. Smith stepped down the sideline.
And I like what Napier did on that possession right there. On the defensive end, you need all hands on deck rebounding the basketball. That time Napier going down, giving his big help on the defensive glass and getting UConn another possession.
Daniels stepping back and hitting the 18-foot shot. So maybe this is an opportunity for Daniels to get going. What do you see out of his game? He's 6'8", only 195, so he's not really built to bang inside in the Big East Conference, but they need whatever they can get out of him in terms of interior play.
Yeah, he's going to be a guy, that fourth option. Right now, he's averaging double digits. He's got the body type of Danielle Marshall, a guy I used to have to guard down in the post. So I think he's deceptively strong. Obviously, he's got to get stronger as he gets into Big East play, but they certainly are going to need his offense as they get into conference play.
Napier lost track of the Ram-giving pursuit, and Thomas knocked it out of bounds. UConn will keep possession. 2 games ago, Daniels went for 23 against Harvard, starting to heat up here in the second half tonight against Fordham. A team-high 20 points so far, Malcolm.
Coming into this game, Fordham's leading scorer at 15 points a game, and he's gotten much more comfortable on the offensive end in the second half. They're going to need more of that right now, though. 7:49 to go.
He was a high school teammate of Villanova's Javon Pinkston at Bishop Loughlin High School in Brooklyn. Pinkston, by the way, playing better lately as Villanova tries to get itself ready for Big East play, and Jay Wright's club not expected to challenge for the Big East title this year, but playing better the last couple of weeks.
They are, and I think back to Frazier, I think the area where he really struggles, he's not a point guard. I think if he had a point guard on his team where he can play off of the ball, I think he's more of a slasher. He's better in that role right there. And then obviously with Chris Gaston out the last 6 games, he was asked to do so much for this team.
Frazier is 4 off his career high, which came a couple of years ago against Long Island University. Brooms lost it. Calhoun with the basketball. Boatwright dropping it off.
They're going to call a flagrant foul right here. I want to see the replay on this one to see if he tried to make a play on the ball.
That is the 5th foul on Miles.
Yeah, there really was not a play on the ball whatsoever. Now, he held him up, and he didn't hit him above the shoulders, but there really was no play whatsoever on the ball. That's a good call that time by the referee. You got to at least make it look like you're going for the ball. You can't just grab a guy's arm when he's going to go in for a uncontested layup. That's a dangerous play right there. But he did do a good thing. I'm going to give him credit. He held him up. A lot of times you got guys where they just hit you, give you a body check, and they don't try to hold you up. That time Myers grabbed his arm, made sure he didn't take a hard fall on the ground.
And as you saw, Myers is fouled out, and DeAndre Daniels at the foul line. And we talked about the fact that UConn has 4 players averaging double figures. All 4 of them, Napier, Boatwright, Calhoun, Daniels, now in double figures here tonight.
And that's so impressive to have that type of balance on the offensive end.
Boatwright was fouled.
Fordham foul.
Mandel Thomas, the freshman from Rochester, called for the personal.
Foul charge number 23.
That is his second. And now Boatwright, who had the huge first half,
1-1
at the line shooting 1-1. Boatwright had 20 points and 7 assists along with 3 steals in that first half. And he's building on a new career high now with 25 points. There you see up to 9 assists as well, another career high.
Doug, I think he's going to surpass that number. In his career at UConn, he's going to hit that number a lot. This kid is impressive. Mid-range game, can knock down the 3, and then when he gets to the hole, he can finish with the left or right hand.
Malcolm, how valuable is it for a team and for Kevin Ollie to have not one but 2 guys who can handle the ball like these 2 guys can? Not just a 1 and a 2. You got 2 guys who can both play 1, both play 2.
Well, you look around the country, and that's the reason why I like teams that have great backcourt play. You look at Michigan, what they have, Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr., and then you look at UConn. It's a luxury, Doug, because in particular when the game gets out of hand or you need to get a basket, those are the guys that can break down the defense and either score for themselves or create opportunities for other players. And that's the luxury you have. And I think to take it a step further, they make good decisions with the basketball, and that's key.
We talked at halftime about some of the better backcourts around the Big East Conference, and we talked about Syracuse with Michael Carter-Williams, a true point, who can also score, along with Brandon Trish, who can play the 1 or the 2. We talked about Peyton Siva and Russ Smith, also a couple of guys who are very versatile, and that versatility seems to be the key.
And what they do is they make it easier for the other guys around them to play, because you're going to get easy buckets with those guys because the defense has to collapse because they're in the lane all day. So it's just so much easier as an offense when you have guys with the ability of Napier and also Boatwright.
Out of bounds. Jeff Short, right in front of the Fordham bench, turns it over. Shabazz Napier being ridden all the way to the basket, and it's another foul against Travion Leonard.
Fordham foul, 30, Ryan Rooms.
Check that, it's on Ryan Rooms.
First person to foul, 9-15 foul.
First on Rooms, number 9 against Fordham. And so Shabazz Napier, the junior from Roxbury, Mass. Now we've got this 3-guard combination for UConn. Napier, Boatwright, Calhoun from Boston, from Chicago, and from New York. And I understand there is a little bit of pride between those 3 cities and these 3 young men.
Oh, absolutely. I remember going back to my BC days. I had a couple guys from New York, the Detroit connection. So you always had a little bit of pride. And, of course, myself from Bristol, Connecticut, the home of ESPN, I had to pump that up a little bit. So there definitely is that sense of pride. But these 3 guys have been impressive throughout the course of this season.
Well, I get a kick out of what Napier said. Quote, everybody from New York thinks they're better than they are. Spoken just like somebody from Massachusetts.
Oh, yes. You know, it's amazing the confidence that these kids have now. And that's what you want as a player. And this balanced scoring that UConn is getting this season, that really is rare in college ranks. Typically, you have 2 or 3 guys, max 3 in double digits. UConn's got 4 guys in double digits, and I think that's a testament to this backcourt being unselfish with the basketball.
Frazier spotting up, and that rebound hit the shot clock, and so it's UConn basketball. 79-55, Connecticut well on its way to a 9th win on the season. This ball game was tied at 15 apiece. The lead ballooned to well over 30, but Fordham rattled off 19 straight points here in the second half, but never was able to get over that hump and get it to single digits, and UConn has reestablished control up 24.
Fordham's got some nice pieces. I think Frazier and also Gaston are nice players. I think the area where they're lacking is ball handling. They really struggled with UConn's pressure, and I felt if they can get into their half-court sets and get Gaston some looks and get Frazier off the ball and let him be a slasher that he is, I felt, you know, they had a chance to play with this UConn team, but the inability to get the ball across half-court in that first half really was the ball game.
Lane violation. And so it's Fordham basketball.
Lane violation, UConn.
Now, Fordham was picked in the preseason coaches poll to finish 14th out of 16 in the Atlantic 10 Conference. And I mean, the A10 is a real bear. You got St. Joe's, you got St. Louis, you've got the newcomers, Butler and VCU. You know, Butler was picked number 6 in the preseason poll. And if they're number 6 in the A10's going to have at least 6 teams in the NCAA tournament this year.
I certainly would not want to see Butler preseason, during the season. Definitely you don't want to see Butler postseason. They are an impressive basketball club, but the A10 definitely showing some depth. You look at St. Joe's, VCU, Massachusetts, that is a very difficult lead. I had a chance to see Dayton down in the College of Charleston Classic. That's another very good basketball club, a veteran club. They got good backcourt play. So the A10 is stacked.
How about Xavier being number 9 in the preseason polls? They have been the team in the A10 for the last 6, 7, 8 years, and actually longer than that. We talked about David West in the first half. But the Musketeers, I don't think, have fallen as far as that. They very much could contend in the A10 this year.
Well, you look at what the Big East, where everybody picked Providence, they come out and they're 8-2. Nobody expected them much from them. You look at in the ACC, Virginia Tech, they start off 8-0. Nobody expected anything from them, and I talked about it in the top of our broadcast. Preseason polls are just that. They're preseason polls. You never know what you're going to get from a veteran or a young basketball club. That's why you play the games.
Butler and VCU this year, and it just makes the A10 that much stronger. Napier is fouled on the reach-in against Thomas. Now Thomas has played extended minutes here in the second half and brought some energy to the floor and helped Fordham on that 19-0 run.
Yeah, and he's done some good things on the defensive end. I like his toughness. He's continued to play, and that's what you want to see. If you're a coach, you want to see your guys play no matter what the score is, and Fordham's done a great job continuing to play hard on the defensive end.
And the Bob Cousy Award candidate makes the first of 2 free throws, Shabazz Napier. Now, he was second team preseason All Big East after averaging 13 per game a year ago.
So many good guards that have come through UConn. Chris Smith, Tate George, Steve Pico, guy from my hometown, Bristol, Connecticut. You look at Kevin Alley, the coaching right now, Ray Allen. I mean, the list goes on. Very impressive what they've done here at Storrs.
Richard Hamilton, 2,000-point scorer, still going strong in the NBA. Chance for 3 for the Fordham Rams and the aforementioned Mandel Thomas.
He's been impressive. You know, I want to continue to give him a lot of credit for playing through. A lot of times, Doug, guys give up on a game. Once you get a 30-point deficit, you start fouling, you do things that really are uncharacteristic of you. He's continued to play through this, and he's doing some nice things for Fordham here.
He's gotten a couple of starts this year at Harvard, at Lehigh, and he may be earning himself more minutes going forward with the way he has performed here in the second half.
took the words right out of my mouth. That's how you get yourself back into the starting lineup. Continue to play hard like this on the defensive end.
Olander backing down. Natural left-hander goes southpaw but couldn't connect. Nice look inside, and Leonard lays it in.
Leonard, the big guy, we talked about the size of him, showing some soft hands right there, finishing at the rim.
He's another guy who was in the starting lineup earlier this year, started the first 6 games of the season. Napier now with 17 points. Niels Gaffey trying to deny the post. And he is called for the foul. Under 4 minutes remaining in regulation, it has been all Shabazz Napier and the UConn Huskies. Tonight's Big East basketball game is brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Back in Hartford, Connecticut, UConn in control, 84-63 over Fordham. Along with Malcolm Huckabee, this is Doug Sherman. And in your days at Boston College, you certainly went up against Jim Boeheim's Syracuse club more than once. Coach Boeheim got to 900 earlier this week, and he'll go for 901 tomorrow at noon at Madison Square Garden against Temple. And you see the climb to 903 continues. That will get him above Bob Knight for number 2 on the all-time list.
So impressive. So many good players in that zone. Gave us fits when we went up there in the Carrier Dome. I remember my freshman year, I'm out there trying to guard Billy Owens. I'm about 6'1", $170, trying to guard Billy Owens, who played like a point guard at 6'9", close to 220. So he had some great players, so much talent, but I think he's underrated as a coach. He does a great job with those guys, getting them to play unselfish, and his teams have performed for him. Really impressive.
What's it like for opposing players in the Big East and for you personally to go into the Carrier Dome and play a basketball game?
Well, your freshman year, you're just almost like you're going down to the Big East tournament, playing in the Madison Square Garden. And, you know, obviously they had some very good basketball teams back then. I think you get more comfortable with it. I always actually had some pretty decent games there because we had a 3-guard set for Boston College. We had a very good passer in Billy Curley. So we broke down that zone, get it into the soft spot, and then we got some pretty wide open looks. So we actually played pretty well there. But, you know, overall, it's just a phenomenal place to play a basketball game. Anytime you can get over 30,000 people in a basketball arena, they're loud. It's a fun place to play in. I enjoyed it. I miss it.
A lot of people don't realize that when the Carrier Dome was being built back in the late 70s, Coach Boeheim was actually against moving the basketball team into the Carrier Dome. At the time, they played at Manley Fieldhouse and were averaging 8, 9, 10,000 fans a night. And he never envisioned at all that they would balloon the attendance like they did. But that's been the case, and as he very eloquently pointed out after winning his 900th on Monday, he gave all the credit to the fans. And as he said, you can't build a program without fans, and that's certainly been the case in Central New York.
Amazing fan support up there. You can see the orange 2 hours before the game lining up to get into the Carrier Dome. It's a loud place. That place gets very exciting when you got some good Big East games and battles going on there. So Syracuse and Jim Boeheim do a phenomenal job.
Both sides still working hard. Reach-in foul called against Tolksdorf, who missed consecutive field goal attempts.
Second personal, 19 foul.
More Big East basketball coming up next Friday, December 28th, as Stony Brook takes on Seton Hall at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Another UConn guy coaching that team, Steve Peichel, coaching Stony Brook, a guy I basically honed my game after growing up in Bristol, Connecticut. Steve Peichel was a great player, came out of Bristol, went on, had a really good career at UConn, and another line of Coach Calhoun guys going on to coach afterwards, doing a great job at Stony Brook.
Yeah, he's really built a nice program there on Long Island. Under 3 minutes to go in this one, 86-65. Napier brings it back out. Tough shot. UConn basketball with 4 on the shot clock. Frazier misfires. Block shot by Daniels, and here come the Huskies. No. Pass was deflected. And down holding his right leg after making that defensive play is Mandel Thomas.
It looks like he's cramping up right here.
Second personal, 10.
There was no lack of effort on his end. He's probably fatigued right here, coming up with some cramps. And you know, you're going to get that when you're chasing around the likes of Napier and Boatwright. You're going to get cramped. I'm getting tired here just watching them run up and down the court. I talked about having to chase Kevin Alley around, who was another guy that liked to fly up and down the court. But you can't fault the effort of these Fordham players. They're continuing to play.
But Boatwright has been the story. He scored 20 in the first half. He's got 26 right now, and the Huskies still with their starters on the floor. And this in spite of the fact that Boatwright was injured in the first half, had to go back to the locker room for some treatment. Wasn't out long, but he has thrown his body around a couple of times tonight. He just keeps going.
Coaches are never happy until there's zeros on the clock. They don't want to pull their starters out ever. They really don't like doing it. And I've seen crazy things happen in basketball games. You saw Fordham come back. Really, they had this game. They were up about 30 with about the 12-minute mark, and they came back, cut it to about 12. So Kevin Alley, I think he's right where you don't want to take any chances whatsoever. Right now, though, I think 2 minutes to go, he'll probably pull his guys out with about 1:30 left. But I've seen crazy things happen in basketball games where teams come back from large deficits.
Khalid Robinson with the 2 free throws for the Rams. Under 2 minutes remaining. Daniels has to come down with it. Napier spotting up. Long rebound comes to Fordham. Frazier, and that's a new career high. 26 points for the junior out of Brooklyn.
Doug, I really like his game. And I think Fordham, if they can get a point guard to play alongside with him, open him up, let him do what he does, and that's score the basketball, they can be a very competitive basketball team.
Boatwright leaves his defender. And an offensive foul.
And this time right here, I think he had a little dump-off pass. This is one of the first times, looked like he was being a little selfish. I thought he had a little dump-off pass right there. He chose to shoot it, and that's a good play that time by Fordham.
Luka Zivkovic took the legs out from underneath Shabazz Napier. And he is slow to get up.
Man's foul. Number 10, Luka.
Doug, they make it so difficult for you on the perimeter. That's what's been so impressive about these guys. You know what they can do on the offensive end. Defensively, they are all over the floor, pressuring the ball, getting their hands in the passing lane, making it very difficult for you to run your offense. And you can see why they're able to win basketball games, not rebounding the ball at a high clip.
The 13, Shabazz Napier shooting 2.
Now UConn will go a little deeper into the bench. Evans, Giffey, and Tolksdorf back in. Daniels and Calhoun go out, as does Ryan Boatwright. So there you see the career highs, nearly a double-double, 26 points, 9 assists, and a well-deserved rest on the bench.
So impressive. Defensively, offensively, getting to the hole, finishing. He's going to have plenty more nights like that for UConn.
And now Napier gets a round of applause. Brandon Allen, a sophomore from Windsor, Connecticut, into the game for the first time. Brooms, I'm not sure that pass was intended for him, as it go off his hands and out of bounds. Well, for Connecticut, they have done what they need to do in a ball game they're supposed to win. They have not dominated on the glass, as you would expect, but they have done a lot of other things very well to have this comfortable lead throughout.
Yeah, you have to be impressed if you're Coach Kevin Ollie. You get a W. You did what you had to do. I think defensively they were very impressive. You really didn't get a chance to gauge whether or not they won the rebounding battle, because really in that first half, Fordham could not get into their offensive set. So UConn doing a great job on the defensive end. I think offensively they're so impressive because they're so balanced. Again, they had another balanced attack led by Napier and Boatwright, but I think other guys chipped in. The big issue, though, and the big concern is moving forward now as they start getting into league play. Will they be able to rebound the basketball?
Now they're being out-rebounded by Fordham 40-28 tonight, and yet they enjoy an 18-point lead. Jared Fay, redshirt freshman from Lynn, Massachusetts, gets on the board. And now UConn can just dribble it out. An impressive performance here on a Friday night in Hartford. 88-73 your final score.
UConn, start to finish, control this basketball game.
Gary Apple, Tariq Turner inside our New York studios. A 32-point lead. At one point, they cut it down to 13, a 19-0 run for Fordham. Did you ever really have the feeling they were going to be able to come all the way back?
Well, there was a little trace of concern when they went on that 19-0 run. UConn did get a little complacent, but ultimately their guards took over the game. Napier and Boatwright, probably the most complete game we've seen them play since the Michigan State victory. Well,
Ryan Boatwright was terrific, had those 26 points, a new career high. That's all ahead here on the Connecticut postgame show. Also going to take a look around the Big East. St. John's, Notre Dame both in action tonight. It's all ahead when we come back in just a moment. Gary Apple, Tariq Turner back inside our New York studios. We welcome you to the Connecticut postgame show. All UConn tonight as they run Fordham out of the gym. 88-73. The Huskies go to 9-2 on the year. We talked about it outside of the broadcast tonight. The backcourt for UConn, that's Boatwright and Napier, and they did not disappoint. And let's begin with Boatwright, who had a career high tonight.
He played an all-around great game. Got off to a really good start early in the first half. 9 quick points. His speed and his ability to change gears separates him from most guards because he's very good off the dribble, can shoot off the bounce, very quick crossover, pull up right there. He has good range on his jumper. He's an explosive athlete, gets to the rim pretty much at will because he's a superior athlete. Although he's small, he can get over the rim, as we see right there. He's one of the most dynamic guards we have in this Big East. He's playing good basketball, and he's playing with a lot of confidence.
Shot 9 of 14 from the field in this game. He was going right from the very beginning. So what about the backcourt, Napier and Boatwright? Where do they stack up against the other top backcourts in the Big East? Siva and Smith at Louisville, and then Trish and Michael Carter-Williams at Syracuse.
You know, it's a tough call. I like Syracuse's backcourt. I know you'll love that, G. Apple. But Trish and Carter-Williams, the balance between scoring and passing the ball and just pace and understanding when to run, when to pull it out, I think they have the advantage. But I also like Louisville because they went to the Final Four with that backcourt. Siva and Smith, they're right there as well. And also Cincinnati, Kilpatrick, and Kashmir Wright. So there's a lot of good backcourts, Notre Dame, Atkins, and Grant.
Yep.
I think there's 4 or 5 teams that have really, really good backcourts. I think the best guards, the guard play is going to be the key thing to watch throughout the season, because usually when you have good guard play from that 1 and 2 spot, you have a chance to go deep into the postseason.
I'm interested to see how they're going to react once they get in to conference play. Michael Carter-Williams, as good as he's been, he didn't play that much during key games a year ago. This year we're going to see what he's like when the pressure is on. One of the guys who we've talked about over the last couple of weeks is DeAndre Daniels. Now, Kevin Ollie has called him out in the past, said he needs to step up. And he has stepped up, made a couple of shots tonight that we looked at him and thought, well, you know what? Those are pro moves right there, getting it done on the defensive end as well.
Well, he has the ability to score the ball. You know, he just has to pick his spots. And we see him tonight taking face-up jump shots, using his length and his athleticism to get his shot over smaller opponents. He can do that. He can spread the floor with his range. He's not a three-point shooter. That's not his game. And when he falls in love with the three, his percentages go down. When he stays in the 17, 18-foot range and in, he has some success and he shoots higher percentage shots. That's what he's done the last 3 games. And now he's that 4th double-figure scorer. They have 4 double-figure scorers, yes, UConn, along with Calhoun, Boatwright, and Napier. So that's important because they don't have any scoring coming from the paint.
And the ability to put it on the deck and create for himself. I mean, if he's going to be a big-time player, that's something he needs to be able to do, and we saw that from him tonight. As a team, Connecticut, and again, they opened the lead to 32 points at one point. They shot 50%. In general, they looked very comfortable with each other. They shared the basketball.
They did, and they had 21 assists. They shot 58%. There's a direct correlation with that. When they move the ball, make the extra pass, and get the easy baskets, they shoot higher percentages, and they play like they did tonight. And a lot of that came from just them moving the ball, pushing the pace, transition baskets. They got out and defended. They turned Fordham over, especially in the first half, and then they made shots. Napier and Boatwright especially got out and got off to some good starts. Boatwright, one of the best games we've seen him play in a Husky uniform. Just a dynamite night, 26 points and 9 assists.
Let's give Fordham a little bit of love. They came into the game at 2-8 tonight, but off a win over Princeton. Brandon Frazier, their leading scorer, at a little bit over 15 a game. He had 26 in the game tonight, was part of that 19-0 run that at least made it respectable. Cut the 32-point lead way down to 13 at one point.
Yeah, I mean, give this Fordham team credit. They didn't give up. They played hard in the second half. They played like a different team. They did not turn the ball over as much, and they made shots. Brandon Frazier is one of the better guards in the Atlantic 10. He's a local kid from Brooklyn. I saw him play in high school, and he's really developed his game to more than just a shooter. He can make plays. And then you have Gaston, the big man, 6'7", 6'8". He's the best, probably, big man that's come out of that Fordham program in some time. So they definitely have some pieces to win games.
So what's up next for Connecticut? They've got about a week off now, going to take on the University of Washington a week from tomorrow. And then they get into conference play, and it begins in Milwaukee against Marquette. Never easy to go up against Buzz Williams, and then DePaul, Notre Dame, and Louisville. And then after that, it's Pittsburgh. We're going to find out about UConn in the conference very quickly.
We are, and that's why this game, I think, was so important, because you want to go into the Big East playing your best basketball. You want your key players to be playing at a high level, confidence-wise, and tonight was a sign of it and step in the right direction. Again, Kevin Ollie, we haven't talked much about him, but he continues to win games. That's yes. 9 wins. They're 9-2. This is continuing to become an issue. We'll have to see how that progresses, the contract. Yeah. I'd be interested to see how, the program and the school handles his contract going into Big East play.
Maybe they're waiting until he does get into the conference to see how he fares once they do get into conference play and go up against that competition. I know they opened the season, they beat Michigan State across the pond over in Germany, but maybe when they get into the Big East and really get tested, then they'll have a better indication. Is that
It's possible. I don't necessarily agree with it, though, because, you have recruits that are waiting to see what direction the program's going to go in. And now we're 11, 12 games in. It's obvious that they have bought into Kevin Ollie's system. They're playing hard. Their best players are bringing it every night. And, they have shown signs of being a really good team. Tonight was probably a big step for them in terms of elevating their game to that elite level in the Big East where they want to get.
88-73, Connecticut gets the win. They go to 9-2 on the season. Again, they open Big East play on New Year's Day. And when we come back, Tariq's going to have some New Year's resolutions for the Huskies. And we'll take a look around the Big East tonight. Both St. John's, I put a smile on Tariq's face, and Steve Lavin They were in action, as were the Irish of Notre Dame, and we'll check in on both in just a moment.
What motivates us is we get an opportunity to put on this jersey. It's a motivation that some guys that came here before you laid down a foundation, and now you build upon it. I am UConn. I went here, I graduated here. It's from me, it's from the inside. And that's why I love this state, that's why I love the fans, and that's why I call them my family.